things just took an insane twist in the Kevin Durant saga as Durant said what a lot of us were thinking at the start, that Brian Wright and the Spurs are officially his preferred destination, but there are some wrinkles in this with the Desmond Bane trade wreaking havoc on the NBA trade sphere. Right now, the asking price is higher than ever, but with recent talks about what Kevin Durant has said about the Spurs and another report coming from The Ringer about what the Phoenix Suns asked from the San Antonio Spurs in return, there is just a whole new wrench thrown into this situation. We got to dive into Durant's quote, the new ask from the Suns, the Bane trade, how it affects it, and a whole lot more on this episode of Spurs Digest. But Keenan, before we get into this crazy video, just a reminder that 70% of you watching this video are not subscribed. We got daily Spurs content, all the latest on the Durant saga. The draft is coming up in just about a week. If you want to stay up to date every single day, this is your home for it. Keenan, let's just start with the big quote of the day. Well, it's not even a quote. It's just from The Athletic. Kevin Durant wants to play for the Spurs. Now, in this article at The Athletic, they were saying that the Wolves, they were trying to put together a big package, but it was made clear to them that Kevin Durant did not want to play for them. But not only that, that he did want to be a San Antonio Spur. And I liked this here from Spurs culture. The Spurs have all the leverage now, just like in the Fox trade. KD will be a Spur, and we will get him for basically nothing. Now, whether that's true, we got a lot coming later. That's yet to be seen, because what Phoenix has asked for from the Spurs, according to this new report, is pretty crazy. But Keenan, just on the Kevin Durant front, do you tend to agree that with us being named this preferred destination, we get a lot of leverage in this, just like the Fox trade?
It's hard not to, because you have to think with a lot of these trades, you have situations where, oh, this team feels like they can do it. This team feels like they can do it. But not everybody's willing now to pay a 1-year rental, which might be what Kevin Durant is. Like Toronto was willing to pay that back with the Kawhi trade. Like there is that, hey, we're going to do a 1-year rental. We don't know if it's going to happen. It worked out. They got their championship. But not many teams are in the win now situation with $54 million. They can take that contract and be okay. So yeah, it does create a lot of leverage and a lot of great things for the Spurs, because it's going to eliminate the amount of teams that are actually going to make a push for Kevin Durant.
Yeah, and listen, Keenan, I had already just assumed after yesterday's video, I was like, listen, we're done. We're out of the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. We're not paying the price that these other teams are going to want to pay, right? Jalen Green and Jabari Smith Jr., whatever. The Wolves offer for multiple first-round picks, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert. It's like, we just can't compete with that. And look, looking at the odds recently, right now, again, just another wrench thrown into these things. The Spurs are still sitting at third, with the Heat and Rockets there, number 1 and 2 tied. Spurs and Wolves, they're tied for third. But Toronto, like you mentioned, like they shot up from plus 1,200 to plus 500. So not only did they get the Kawhi sweepstakes almost out of nowhere, to be honest. I remember that being like very quickly escalating until Toronto swooped in and grabbed Kawhi Leonard. Compared to Durant's preferred options, as Evan Siddery says, Toronto might actually have the best offer. And we also heard things floating out there, Keenan, that they would very well be willing to part with the number 9 pick in the draft. And when it comes to the Spurs, again, these kind of packages, they're going to be tough to beat. Because, look, we all know Kevin Durant, phenomenal player, right? Again, I don't need to go into this every single day. But the question now arises, Keenan, with Kevin Durant wanting to go to San Antonio. Let's just assume that is his clear number 1, which we don't know if it's exactly his clear number 1. Certainly seems like it. There was a clip of Shams there when Iman Shumpert mentioned the Spurs. Shams kind of does that.
I think it's his number 1.
I
truly think that's his number 1.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Shams look at the camera like Jim from The Office, like something was up, right? He made the Jim face even. It was crazy. So there's something going on here. And if that's the case, the question is, Keenan, can the Spurs offer for 3 years of Durant, because we know he'd extend, beat the other team's offer for 1 year? Because we know the Suns are not shipping him to a place that aren't going to pay them the price that they want. But that's where this new report comes in. And I know you saw this morning, Keenan. We saw this. The Suns reportedly asked the Spurs for the number 2 pick and or Stephon Castle. This is where I think one of the big holding points is, because there is no world where this happens, right? I mean, like, in order to beat these other offers, yeah, you'd probably have to include it. But I think this is very much the piece that still doesn't make the Spurs the clear favorite. Although, again, you never really know with Durant maybe trying to force his hand here.
Yeah, it's in a situation now where Toronto really throws the monkey wrench into it. Miami, they're in a situation now where they could give like Jovic, they could give Khalil Ware, but Ware they don't want to get rid of. The Rockets, they want to get rid of both Jalen Green and Jabari Smith Jr. And how does the Jalen Green Devin Booker pairing work? Because the Suns have to think forward anyways. The Timberwolves, they have such a contractually weird thing. It'd have to be Rudy Gobert and others, so they're difficult. But Toronto, they're in a situation where they can give up RJ Barrett and they give up the ninth pick. To beat that deal or a deal that surrounds that, the Spurs are going to have to get rid of Devin Vassell, which you think the Suns would like, but there's been things that Devin Vassell could be the hang up.
Hmm.
I don't know if that means on the Spurs side or the Suns side. I think they're meaning on the Suns side, but it would have to be like a Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, the 14th pick in this year's draft would be like a package that could rival that. That is a tough, and also you'd have to probably add in Keldon Johnson, and maybe you get something else just because contractually, Devin Vassell's 27 million
Hmm.
is not going to equate to it, but with Keldon Johnson and then Jeremy Sohan, then it could.
Yeah.
That's a lot for Kevin Durant for 3 years. And I understand Kevin Durant is phenomenal, but that is a lot when you get rid of three very important or three pivotal pieces to last year's team plus the 14th pick. Because if not, you might could have split that up into two trade packages for a lot of depth.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true. And again, like, we're talking about how Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Sohan is like a lot for Durant, like, let alone that they want Castle. Now, this is something we're not going to do. I mean, this just seems like all indications the Spurs are not going to do something like this. Not going to move on from Castle, not going to move on from
no,
Dylan Harper, according to all reports. But it makes sense that the Suns are asking for this, right? Like, if you're the Phoenix Suns, you have Rudy Gobert plus first-round picks and Mike Conley coming offered from the Timberwolves for 1 year of Durant, but Durant doesn't want to go there. You have the Rockets reportedly offering up someone like a Jalen Green and Jabari Smith Jr., where the Suns have reportedly already shopped around other destinations for Green should they get him in a trade. If that's the kind of package you're getting from these teams, of course you're going to ask the Spurs for Stephon Castle, the
of
number 2
course.
pick, right? Like, these other teams value their stars as much as we value our young stars, like Jalen Green, as much as, I don't think he's going to be as much of a ceiling raiser as someone like a Stephon Castle on a championship
No,
team. Jalen Green's a
no,
great
not.
floor raiser, right? For the right team. So it's tough, but like, that's the thing right now. If that's the hang up on the Suns side, I don't see a deal getting done. Unless, again, Katie is like, do me good, Suns front office. Send me to the Spurs. We also have this final thing, Keenan, just to talk about what you mentioned there. The Spurs want to keep Castle out of Durant trade talks, of course, and that's the phenomenal thing. Couldn't even get it out of my mouth. They're the phenomenal thing. We don't want to get rid of Stephon Castle, according to Mike Scotto. But the number 14 pick is seen as available. Sohan, Keldon, Barnes, gettable. Vassell, that's the big question. Now, the way it's phrased to me makes it seem like Vassell's the hang up on the Spurs side. Now, I know,
Yeah,
right, because it's like gettable, and then the big question. I mean, again, Keenan, we've talked at length about how I don't see Vassell as a long-term fit in San Antonio with Dylan Harper and Castle and Fox. I still have made it clear I love Devin Vassell. I would love if
hmm
he didn't leave San Antonio. I think he will turn back into that 20-point per game Devin Vassell, be a bargain of a contract with a fully healthy season. But if that's the hang-up, like, if you can get Durant for 3 years and they're accepting with the 14 pick and Barnes, Keenan, are you pulling the trigger if Vassell is that final piece to get it done?
I
Tough one, eh?
you would have to, right?
I think so.
Like you would have to, right? Like I don't think Devin Vassell is a game changer on the roster that we have. I think he is a roster enhancer. I just once you get Dylan Harper, that's if we're getting Dylan Harper at 2, which
Mhm.
all reports are saying we're
Yeah.
getting Dylan Harper at 2, unless they have this master plan where they're still trying to be in the Cooper flag free sweepstakes and like we're gonna have to manage that around. So, but if not, yeah, I mean Devin Vassell is going to be the fourth most important guard on our team.
Hmm.
It's very tough, especially in the game. I mean, I get that you could go Harper, Castle, Fox lineups and have Vassell come off the bench. And hey, if that's what happens next year, the Spurs are gonna make it work, and I'm
Yeah.
not gonna be mad at it.
Same.
I'm not gonna be mad at it at all, as long as we get some front court depth, which we can with the 14th pick. But the Sun, I mean, in this all talking trade wise, the Suns they think to themselves with the Kevin Durant trade, which is why it's going to be interesting what their mindset is. We traded Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, 4 unprotected firsts for Kevin Durant. We got to the second round 1 time, and now we're trading Kevin Durant for pennies
Mhm.
compared to that deal. It's kind of hard to be like in that situation, especially when nothing of remote success came out of it. But that's the reality, and the reality is going to have to be taking Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and maybe a pick is going to be roughly their best offer, and that's what they have to come to terms with.
It's tough because, like, I mean, look, it's going to be seen as a failure from the. I mean, it's already seen. I think from day one that Beal trade was seen as a failure by the Suns front office, and look, it's just not paying dividends right now. I've seen something saying maybe they can hope Beal can be worth his max contract. I just don't think he ever will be. I think he's a phenomenal basketball player. That's just not a ceiling raiser on a championship team, right? He needs the ball in his hands to score 30 a game. He can do it, but not in that situation. But also, like you mentioned, their trade, right? And we have to talk about this too to end off the video. The Desmond Bane trade. So when this went down, this kind of changed. I saw a lot of Spurs fans saying, "Oh, yeah, no shot. We're getting KD now," right? Because KCP, young point guard Cole Anthony, and 4 unprotected first and a first round pick swap for Desmond Bane. Now, this is the price you pay for like fringe all-star level talent. Desmond Bane's never made an all-star team, though he has a 23 point per game season. He's a great player, great defensively as well, solid facilitator, even from like the 2 position, can play a bit of 1 if he needs to, but that's a big price. And if that's the price for Desmond Bane, then what is the price for KD? Again, it's very different. Bane is younger. He's, he fits their team more, whatever. Durant, again, would only be guaranteed 1 year with certain teams. Does this make it less likely for you, I think, after seeing this Desmond Bane trade? Because I think for me, as we're going through this video here, I feel like it's less and less likely that Durant actually lands in San Antonio unless he forces it. Because not trading number 2, not trading Castle. And I think that's a given. So we're not going to beat other offers. And also, with Desmond Bane going like this, we're not going to step up our offer because this now inflates the price. I know that Durant's still not going to command this kind of price because he's older, because, there's the 1 year guarantee, that's it. But Keenan, as the more we go in this video, I think unless KD forces his hand here, it's still unlikely we get him. As much as I don't like it, I still think I'd love him at the right trade package if he forces his hand. But
yeah,
I feel like I can't really see it happening with everything going on in the landscape of the NBA right now.
I agree. A lot of the places for the Spurs fans, and us included, of course, is can we get Kevin Durant for the proper price? It needs to be the proper price. Nobody, including Arch, and no one wants to overpay for a 37-year-old on a $54 million contract for 1 season that we're going to have to extend for maybe $120 more million or what the case may be. I think this trade does affect it a little bit because obviously you always get the understanding of, oh, hey, this happened here, so we got to do this here. But no, I don't think it's going to raise it too much because I think the Orlando Magic trade was specific to them for a couple reasons, but yeah, I don't think it's going to raise it too much, but I do think that it could alter a little bit of the Suns' future plans.
Yeah, speaking of altering plans, man, this is like every single day I feel like we're getting an update that just makes me like, what? Like, I thought this was over, right? No,
it makes no sense.
It makes no sense. It's crazy. This is such a crazy time to be a Spurs fan. We're ready for the NBA draft. We know the Durant trade's probably going to happen within the next 2 or 3 days. So listen, we'll keep you up to date. That'll do it for this episode of Spurs Digest. But hey, if you enjoyed and you're enjoying the daily content here at Spurs Digest, hit that free subscribe button down below. We're so close to 7,500. Wanted to thank all of you for the support. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Keenan Warner. We'll catch you in the next one.